And we're live talking about One Piece for the first time,
Finally.
and I think it was April, and it's currently September. Is that 5 months? Holy shit!
We had a little Void Century going there.
Yeah,
We've
you know,
only had like 5 chapters come out, right? They're
no,
monthly.
no, that is not the case. Remember when Tyler was like, "We're gonna be 6 chapters for like when we get to March." I forgot,
Yeah.
like it was like last year. It was a lot more than 6 chapters came out. You have a poor sense of time here. Even with all the Odo breaks. Okay, Joe is not with us. He will join us part way. He's in transit, but we have no other time to record this, and we're on a time crunch. So I'm going to roll into an abridged version of the summary I do, because when we last left off, we found out the world is sinking, or is already partially sunk, which is a whole can of worms to uncover. But from that point on, we have Vegapunk's message keeps going. The whole world listens. Tons of cameos. We learn about the sunken world. The Giants and the Straw Hats board the boat and try to escape, and they're stopped by the Elders. We have Bonnie's transformation, which set the internet on fire for like 1 week. I fucking hate the One Piece community, man. Emmett, the robot, shows up to help. Struggle takes place. Atlas shows up to get them out. Sacrifices herself. Bonnie and Luffy repel Saturn. Vegapunk claims that the one who finds the One Piece will find the truth. They blast away. Emmett unleashes Joy Boy's stored hockey and dispels the Elders. We get a small Joy Boy flashback. Vegapunk flashback with him preparing for his death with some of his other satellites. We have the chapter where Kizaru and Sakazuki argue. There's some weird Shadow Man at Elbaf that we don't know who it is. Saturn is quote-unquote fired, and then Garling takes his place as the new Elder. The Vegapunks live, sorta. They were backed up in the cloud. Shanks deals with Bartolomeo, and the Straw Hats wake up in Legoland, which seems to be inside of Elbaf.
A lot of beats to take in.
A lot of beats, and I had to cut a bunch of beats from that summary. But in general, this is the end of an arc. This is like the second end of an arc we've had. Well, actually, because Bradley, you started reading weekly. Was Wano ended, or was it shortly after?
I think Wano was like 1 or 2 chapters from ending when I caught up. So this is my first time like going through an arc as it releases, and I have to say, it feels a lot slower while you're going through it.
Yeah.
But then when I'm looking back on this arc, like scrolling through these chapters, I'm like, fucking like 5 things happened per chapter. Like,
Yeah.
so much happened.
They're crammed, and it's very easy, especially with like the schedule where Oda usually does like 3 weeks and a break. When you keep that schedule in mind, it feels like we're making no progress, but we're making a ton of progress all the time.
Oh yeah.
I still gotta do a reread of this arc, but on like a first impression for all of us, I think we should do like a little like Egghead, like what were your favorite bits? Was there anything that didn't work as well for you? What do you think are like underrated moments or like favorite characters? We can go like around the table like near the end and go through that. And then first we can like address some of these newer plot points that we were talking about. So like think of some that you would like to bring up. I'll get us started with a few. For example, like what do you think of the reveal of the sunken world? Very Wind Waker-esque. Yeah, what were your thoughts when we were going through that? Big reveals.
I spent the rest of the day like pacing around my apartment, but like then I'm wondering, what are the implications of this, right? Because people are going to want the world government to have a response, which is obvious, but then I'm thinking of like other factions, for example, where like the relationship between humans and fishmen is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Just in the setting and also thematically in this story. And I'm almost wondering, like, what does the general fishman think about this? Is this like, are they going fuck yeah at this news? Or are they going like, oh my god, oh my god.
That's actually, I didn't think of like that. That would make the world government probably be like, hey, we need to probably like invade Fishman Island and like start creating new colonies of underwater cities just in case. You would think, actually, you would think they do that, but like, let's not forget, all royal structures in One Piece are like elevated in height, almost as if when they were created, they knew that the world might flood again. I thought that was really interesting. Like, you can go back and look at, like,
Oh yeah.
Dressrosa Plateau. It is, like, this huge thing in the middle of the city. Even Alabasta Palace is, like, a little more elevated than, like, the rest of the city. I'm sure when Oda was drawing a lot of those places, especially Alabasta, because it's so early, it's like, well, a royal palace would be heightened. But I like how it works for, like, oh, when these people built these palaces, like, 800 years ago, they kind of had, like, a flood in mind in case another
just
flood
fits.
happens.
Now here's what I'm wondering about, because I've seen other people wonder the same thing, right? So there's these ruins all over the world of this ancient civilization. So people are like, would fishmen not just be coming across these all the time?
Yes, I had that thought. Like, what have you read about that?
So there's a few main things I think. One of them that I've seen people say is like, well, here's the thing: fishmen live in, for the most part, like underwater settlements, like the Fishman Kingdom and stuff. So they might not wander around too much because, just like the wilderness and the overworld of One Piece, like there's dangerous shit in the oceans under the water too. Like the average fishman might not be able to take these krakens.
That's a great point. Yeah, like any generic like New World fish would slaughter any normal citizen, right? So,
but even then, let's say like a handful of them have adventured out there and seen these ruins. Number one, they have to come back and tell people about this and have people take them seriously, which, like Vegapunk said, like this is so, like hearing this is so preposterous you might laugh.
Yeah.
So other people might have a hard time believing it, and even if other fishermen did believe it, a lot of people on the overworld just might not take what fishermen say seriously or listen to their news. So it might just be hard for that news to spread.
Like, also, fishmen are basically enslaved anytime they show their faces like above water.
They wouldn't even talk to humans, like if they could avoid it, right?
They're like, why do I feel the need to tell people about this?
And the only fishman crew also sailed on a boat. They did not fucking swim around.
Yeah, that's true. They sailed on a boat, and like they swim around like Arlong Park. Like they stay in their areas. They don't really like. The only time we've seen someone move to the ocean floor is Jinbei's cover story. And even then, like he passes by like what could be like some small ruins. Another thing to point out is that Fishman Island, like the island, right? A big point of that location is that it's so deep under the ocean that it's so dark that they can only see because the Eve tree that's like in Marijoa like beams light down through its roots. All to say, the ocean floor is dark. Fishmen are not naturally able to see dark, so I think that's another good reason to explain why no one has found these ruins. Because I was like, 200 meters doesn't sound so deep that no one would stumble across it, especially fishermen. But like when you put all of that together, I think it makes sense. I will point out that Joy has joined us. You've barely missed anything, Joe. I did a big, small summary actually compared to everything we've covered. And then we started talking about the sunken world because that's where we left off. You have any thoughts on the sunken world?
I mean, I don't know. Like
Good.
If I figured it had to be something, especially if we're going with the flood.
Oh yeah.
Thing that I think the last podcast is when we discussed.
We've been talking about the flood for a little while. Like ever since Emu sunk Lulusia, I was like the end game of One Piece is a flood. So
yeah, it's also like I think I agree with y'all based on what y'all said. Like there comes a point where like you just live down there and it's something that just seems normal to you. Like why would you even think about bringing it up if it just seems normal if it in your environment in terms of like the ruins? Like why would the fishermen go around and like start talking about this shit? Period. Because that's just what it looks like to them. That's just what their world is.
True, and like I think the point, like there's probably none of these ruins near Fishman Island. Period. And
And
I think before you got here, we were talking about Joe. Like the fish down there are so big that it's not like little Timmy can stumble on some ruins without get got by a giant crab or something. So all right,
this is the
fair
thing.
enough.
Like if I'm living in a fishman village and outside of the village there's like, I don't know, like ruins of a castle or a church or something, and those have been there for the past like 500 years, like, there's no reason for me to think those are ruins of some ancient civilization I'm not supposed to know about. I'm probably just like, oh, the old fishermen who used to live here probably built those, and they just don't live there
Or
anymore.
it's some fucking human junk that they dumped off in the water at one point.
Yeah,
and
it
we
could be
don't-
anything.
You gotta imagine most of these cities are covered. Like, we saw a little bit of one, but I'm sure, like, most of them are, like, covered by debris. It's been 800 years, so, like, sand erosion. Anyways, that's the sunken world. What's, like, another hot topic that I could... okay, we could talk about Bonnie transforming into Gear 5 and,
Yeah.
and why I dislike weekly readers of One Piece, because they just fucking lost their minds. Gear 5 is ruined. Bonnie's broken. And I'm like, can you wait like 2 weeks? Can you just like give it 2 chapters before you make these insane hot takes? Everyone was like, oh, so Bonnie's confirmed to be joining the Straw Hats now. We're like fucking chill. This is how y'all got on like the Yamato train. Like let's take it back a sec. Let's see what happens week to week.
I mean, here's the thing. On some level, I can kind of understand people's gut reaction of, like, if it took roughly 1,000 chapters for the main character to get a power-up and someone gets something that looks and behaves almost like that power-up, for what feels like little work, I can see why people might get frustrated about that. And I might have if it didn't just also fit with the themes of the story and like what Bonnie's going through as a character. Like if it was any other character but Bonnie that got some godlike transformation, I might have been like, all right, dude.
Yeah,
For her, I'm like, I think it works here.
But also like that knee-jerk reaction where it's like, we haven't even seen her throw like a punch. We don't know if this lasts more than 30 seconds. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Like,
that's the thing. She appears, and then there were people who were like, I've been reading this for 20 years, and I'm not reading another chapter because the story's ruined. I'm like, wait.
Oh my god.
Just see what happens, dude. Just see what happens.
The weekly experience just ruins like things for a lot of people. I don't know. People need to be chill and then reread arcs once it's all done. Because a lot of like knee jerk. I've seen so many people like reread Wano and they were like, "Why was I so mad? This is actually fire!" Like
that's what I'm saying. I read through Wano and I was like, "This is amazing." And then I've told y'all before, I got spoiled by y'all because before I was caught up on One Piece, obviously I'm quarantining away from the internet because I don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
So I get the good opinions from y'all. But then after I caught up on Wano and I went online, I was like, these are One Piece fans?
Yeah. I'm sorry that reality sunk. Like, look, we don't always have the best opinions, but we try our best to like not say anything too conclusively too fast. In fact, I've had shit takes. I used to say Ace was only an A-tier character. Remember that? I was a little goofball. I was like, he's not cool enough. He's just edgy cool brother, whatever.
I think with Bonnie, it just fits her personality so well. It's also just a great metaphor of like how the youth has so much potential. Why can't it be something that's great, right? So it fits into that story of like Oda's saying is that like it's like time passes and it's the next generation that's going to determine what the future is going to be. So I it's just a really good power, I think, overall for Bonnie and her taking on the appearance of Joy Boy and getting a little bit of his power, showing like she can become this or be this, but that's a potential. It could also be something else because remember her whole power just shuts down for a moment when she doesn't believe it because of Saturn. Like, you're a stupid kid.
It's a very mentally like focused ability. I think her ability is really cool. And seeing these aspects of it is just really interesting. So, Bonnie good.
It would be interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to see like if in an epilogue what she's like, right? That power.
Yeah, I wonder if like she can like just take the form of Nico a lot, even if she's not doing cartoony stuff. She can like embody that. I mean, we won't have too much time to spend on Bonnie, I imagine, in the epilogue, but we'll see. Maybe in Two Piece. We'll get some Bonnie-centric stuff.
I do like she got a good helping of shine time here.
Yeah.
I do like how we got kind of like a good arc conclusion for her, of her sitting in Kuma's lap as they're on the ship.
That was nice.
Is Kuma alive? Like,
sorta?
What's going on with him?
Sorta?
Here's the thing. In the most recent chapter, right, she was sitting with the Kuma that they got out and talking to him.
Yeah.
And was the Kuma smiling?
Yeah, it looked like it.
Yeah, sorry, he was smiling, but he like it was like a A
like
smile
a
such that it's like I can't move my face. Like this is like
Yeah.
my face is kind of
It's-
stuck in a smile a little bit.
It's ambiguous as to whether there's still anything in there.
I think that's so
Yeah.
cool though. Like he's such a weird character now.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. How do y'all think? Do y'all think like there's any chance Bonnie will join the Straw Hats? That's come up recently. Everyone loves talking about them.
No.
You're a hard no.
New character. Well, I mean, she's not new, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, a character does important thing. They're obviously joining the
Yeah.
Straw Hat.
Yeah, every time.
I mean, I could see it. I'm not against it, but I'm not putting my ducks in that pond. You know.
I think the thing is that she's going to want to stay with her dad. And I think what's going to happen is Lilith, Vegapunk, is going to be like, I'm going to now work to get Kuma back somehow.
Ooh, I like
right?
that. Yeah.
That's like the redemption arc for like the Vegapunks, essentially, is like getting Kuma back. And so Bonnie's going to stay with him, and it's going to be a weird Alzheimer's thing almost. Of like just trying to get his memories back and get him to like, if not fully back, but get him to where he could could be.
Personality
Yeah.
back. Like he's a husk right now.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be like, because I can't imagine Bonnie just leaving Kuma
No,
after
no.
everything that's happened.
Zero.
That's her whole
Oh no.
Yeah.
like story was like, I gotta find my dad and figure out what's wrong with him.
Yeah, for sure. And if anything, I think like there's a chance Lilith could join the crew because she's
I thought
separated.
Lilith would be the one to join, but like, I like the idea of her like staying with Kuma more.
No, yeah, that's a really cool one. I like that.
Oh, if we're done talking about Bonnie,
Yeah.
I want to talk about Sakazuka, Zuki, and Kizaru.
Oh my god, that was so good. What chapter was that? It was fuck it, because I want to pull it up. It's 1124 for anyone following along, including us. Go ahead, Joe. Take the lead.
Yeah, so this whole arc, Kizaru has been very obviously been very reluctant to what he's been doing, has to do for Vegapunk,
Yeah.
and then he's been fighting back like what he really wants to do and what he's being told to do, and then finally he's just like, I have to kill Vegapunk and let it happen, and like the just torment on his face is like incredible at the end of it. And like, am I misremembering, or did like Vegapunk actually tell him to kill him when he had the chance, or was told to?
No. We were just thinking that he was in on it, and like he knew that killing him would trigger the.
Okay.
But we have no inclination of that so far.
Gotcha. I couldn't remember if that was headcanon or not, but like this interaction between them, it was like it's crazy to me that this guy from Sabori, like in much less chapters, Oda has really fleshed him out to be this great character. And you're
Dude,
really like,
the Admirals move mountains. I keep saying it. I think they're going to be the best non-Straw Hat group in the series by the end. Personally, like I think they're just so interesting to think about. There's just so much subtext and like nuance to them. I love it. And that includes Kuzan, of course. But you sorry,
Yeah.
Rabbi?
I'm just looking at this page where he's talking to Akainu, talking about, you know, you did it, like, what a sloppy job you did.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these people got away, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, do you know what it's like to kill your best friend?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to do that? He's like, I had to kill someone I love, and you have the balls to tell me I did a sloppy job? Like,
And like so,
I don't know, it's just...
Akainu's response to that is nothing. He's just silent. Do you think maybe he does know? And like maybe now that he's like the top dog, he's like forgetting what it's like to have to go down there and get your hands really dirty. And he's like, you're right.
his only response is,
And then one day we're gonna get his flashback one day.
yeah.
I think he thought like, okay, what if this is like the real trip up is Kizaru, Kizaru, Akainu, and Kuzan are actually all brothers.
I think the brother here is like a Yakuza, like...
Yes, but no, what if the twist is they are actually all brothers?
I mean, I guess they could be. I don't know what their ages are. I mean, yeah, maybe they grew up together, but I think... I'm interested to see, because I think they're sworn brothers, like a Yakuza kind of deal, but I'm like, we're going to see that in like a... Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, what if they're like...
They're the same colors too. They got red, blue, and yellow.
Whoa, why you're blowing my mind. Wait, who's blue? No one's blue.
Kuzan's blue.
Okay, who's blue
Oh, yeah,
in the
Kuzan.
three brothers?
Who's the
Who's
blue
on?
in the three?
Okay.
I think.
No.
No. He's talking about Luffy, Ace, and Sabo.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're not the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
color scheme. You had me like, how have I not noticed that before?
What is
but,
the Luffy Ace Sabo color scheme? Because I feel like Luffy and Ace are both red.
Yeah, it's red,
red,
and black. Like that's their color scheme.
Sabo is yellow and red.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Luffy's
Yeah,
red and
good.
purple. Ace is blue and yellow.
All right, get your card games out of here, sir.
Actually, so this coloring here is Luffy's red, Ace is like an orange, and then Sabo is blue.
Sabo's blue.
Mm.
In
Yeah,
what?
That's what. And like in his when he's a kid. One Piece TCG. Because I remember.
He
Here,
basically wears the same outfit when he's a kid, from what I remember. This is this is relatively irrelevant.
No,
so-
this is
It's
the most
never
important One
relevant.
Piece
This is the
conversation. What
most
color is
important
he?
thing.
Okay, but to go off on what Tyler's saying, it's like, okay, maybe they're sworn brothers, but maybe they're like, oh shit, that is, yeah, all right. You're
Like
cooking.
I was like,
Okay,
I'm not
Sabo
crazy.
can be
I know for a
blue.
fact Sabo was wearing blue. Like,
All right, yeah,
Yours.
it's the same color scheme, but yeah, so maybe like, maybe they're not actual brothers, but they're as close as Sabo, Ace, Luffy, and like sworn brothers kind of thing, which would be very interesting. Kizaru, like Akainu even says sorry. Like we have never seen this man be apologetic or ashamed of anything in the whole series. So to see any level of humanity and kinship from him just has me even more thirsty for the eventual. Like it's gonna happen at this point. The Akainu flashback that we're like at least a little bit we're gonna get. So
something. I could see it like they rise up and they think like, oh, Garp's gonna train us, but then Garp only trains Kuzan. Is it Kuzan? Yeah, he only trains Kuzan, and then like there's like a falling out, and it's how like that splintering starts to happen between them and their ambitions.
That's too simple. It can't be just like Garp didn't train me. Like they had to have gone through like a particularly
it's
bad
all-
situation, like where they splintered.
Because Kuzan was there, and Sakazuki's like, we're gonna kill the people in the ship that are trying to escape.
Yeah, but
And-
Kizaru wasn't there, so it's like. But I see what you're saying. I mean, that's where they split up for sure. And also back to Akainu, like, have I ever killed a brother? You have to think that if it's a three-way like relationship they have, then him fighting to the death with Kuzan and like having to put that feeling aside to put his duty in front of it must have also elicited some emotions from this. So all in all, this is just like one of the best conversations in the arc.
Yeah, and it's only like 2 pages, which is like crazy.
Crammed with good
And
stuff.
like, and I love how we get these quick flashbacks of confirming now like Kizaru actually did help with everything that was going on in Egghead, and was like he wasn't just a passive observer, like he was.
Like he helped build the island that he destroyed, and like he was kicking Bonnie through walls and like locking Luffy around like the buildings that he helped create. So
I like this panel where he's just like, you've got a big head. It's so good. It's just such a great turnaround for the character that I thought was going to be more or less like the very stoic, like robotic enemy based on like Sabity and everything else we'd seen of him.
Oh man, I can't wait. Every time the admirals show up, I just get so excited now because.
Speaking of admirals, nobody dies in One Piece. Our vice admiral is still alive.
Yeah.
Which one?
Garp.
Oh yeah, I mean I had a feeling Garp because he was laughing last time we saw him, so I knew he'd be alive. But
Man,
he is now the princess in another castle.
Yeah, but man, more and more, like, to me, this is just signaling, like, here are all these pieces on the board. Let's have a David back fight, and we're fighting over all of them at Elbaf. Because I can totally see Blackbeard putting him up for ransom at one point.
Damn,
What's up with Garp, like, training the strongest fucking people to fight everything he's against ever.
Right? But I think that's so cool. Like, that's such an interesting, like, dynamic. It's like, I keep training these little fucks, except for Kobe, his sweet little boy, his sweet little angel.
Do you think he hasn't meant it the whole time? Every time he says they're like, he's like, they're the hope of the Navy. He's been like just undercover the whole time. Like he knows because Roger told him.
I think overall, Garp is like, I'm going to teach you how to freely think for yourself and know what is right and wrong, not necessarily what's in the government. But I believe, Garp, that it needs to be done internally, not through external forces, which is why I want to train you as best as I can, right?
So,
and it just keeps backfiring on him because I keep getting free minds.
but that's a good point. I think the thematic here, right, is that Garp is so inherently, by personality, not a Marine. He is a pirate, personality-wise. Now, we don't know what happened with Dragon. We don't know what happened with Luffy's mom. I don't know, like... But, like, something in his life has made him really believe in the virtue of the law. So even though, like, he trains people, but freedom is diametrically opposed to the oppressiveness of the world government and the Marines. So even though, like, he went through experiences that have made him stick with the Marines, he keeps training people in freedom, which takes them away from the Marines.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's like... there definitely is something like a pirate killed my wife or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, he's just like, there has to be order in the world. I don't think the people that are keeping order are necessarily the right people to be doing
And,
that.
like, we're gonna get that story because, like, Dragon Garp, like, combined flashback, I think, is almost, to me, guaranteed because they're two very mysterious characters, especially Dragon. Bradley was like, well, Dragon's being a chatterbox in one of these chapters.
It was funny. He had 4 speech bubbles, and all of them still technically had an ellipsis in them.
Oh, I hate that ellipsis shit. Like, people milk that joke. Ugh, One Piece fans have like 3 jokes.
But it's true though.
Look, he's just saving it up because you know when Dragon starts talking, he's gonna say some important shit. It's being saved.
Dude, I hope whenever Luffy and Dragon finally meet, like, genuinely, he says nothing. It's just like ellipses, and then Luffy goes on and just keeps doing shit.
They're not gonna. When Dragon and Luffy meet, Dragon's gonna walk over to Robin and be like, "What's up, my girl?" and like high five her, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, hey, Luffy." Like
looks at his son, ellipses.
Looks at Robin. He's like, "Yo." I mean, why wouldn't he? Robin's the greatest. So. Okay. Someone else throw out a topic. Tyler, Bradley, y'all got any, like, steer this ship?
I went... Okay, Bradley, go.
St. J. Garcia Saturn is retired now.
He is retired.
He's retired from life.
Ooh,
and watching him dissolve and Garling be, promoted to his place... there's still a lot we don't know about the Gorosei and Emu, but I think this kind of sets in stone that I don't know if their powers or abilities or anything inherent to them. It feels like this all does in reality come from Emu.
Yes. Yeah. But I think this deconfirms that they're like they can communicate with each other, but they are not an Emu hive mind. I don't think because
no.
It just to me it's not clicking that way personally.
If anything, he's almost like a parasite. Like when you get into the inner circle, he like infects you with himself, and you not necessarily become part of the hive mind, but you are like another branch on the tree, more or less, right? And so, like, I think he's like gifting power. I'm very interested to see like for Figureland or whatever his name is, like what's going to happen to him if he's going to get that power.
That's the thing. He's too like they all have individual aspects, but Figureland is too much like of an individual from like the 3 scenes we've seen him. I think I can't see him losing his individuality. So how is he going to play nice with the other 4? It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, but man, he got really fucked up, didn't he?
Yeah, that shit's horrifying. And I like how the Vice Admiral saw it because, like, the Marines are very interesting because the good, like, most of the ones high up, especially, they are good people on the wrong side. They're like, or like, I don't know if the good people, they're like the cops that aren't completely like corrupt, and then you have the little small time cops, the people that are like in those rural towns of Texas Don't trust those guys.
Yeah,
And those are the ones like in
Morgans.
the East Blue. Yeah, Morgans and Nezumis and whatnot. So I feel like when these vice admirals see that their like figurehead of science got dissolved by devil magic in front of them, they're like, "What am I doing with my life?"
Are we the baddies?
Oh yes, the very like
Yeah.
I could see a lot of these vice admirals defecting at the end, and I feel like at this point, like I don't like it's gonna have to be the entire world versus Emu. Like I feel like it's the only way this can go because like I don't see the Marines fighting to the bitter end. Like maybe up to like the 90% mark or the 95% mark, but I can't see them being like on Emu's side as the world is getting Omega flooded the entire time. Like
I could see the celestial dragons being that way.
oh yes, yeah. I mean no, they're not gonna. They're up on their little high perch. They're fine if the world floods. They're never gonna step away from that. But
Yeah.
there's this one Gorosei or Elder. I forgot which one he is. He's the tall guy.
The guy
one,
doesn't do his homework.
the one who doesn't do his homework. Oda has painted him as a bit of a rebel. He always looks like his dialogue, and I've noted this. Remember, like back when they were discussing the logistics of bombing Lelusia, and then like Emu gives the command, and then they try to have like rationale on the next page. His dialogue always seems like the most human. And I believe he's the one, if I'm not mistaken, that went up to the giant brain and had that monologue of like the big punk records brain, and he's like, "What are we actually like? What is a memory? Like, is there a soul?" Like he's having like a genuine like what the fuck even are we moment, which is like these are the elders, they know the most about the world, so if he doesn't even know like the truth about themselves, it felt like a very human moment, which we were like, these guys are weird demon aliens. So I don't know.
So I think because like okay, hear me out. He is obviously the youngest,
Yes,
and whenever they join the elders, they stop aging.
Yeah.
Because we see like Saint J. Garcia was over 200 years old.
it's true.
So
And he looks the exact same.
that's minimum how old he is. They obviously know who Joy Boy was, which could imply that they are over 800 years old.
Yeah, but it
So
means
not
that
only do they know the threats of Joy Boy, but like Joy Boy was also, we learned, the first pirate.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. That's crazy. So it's like I think what Tyler's getting at also is like he's the one that was least set in his ways, because you know the older you get, the harder it is to like think that your beliefs are wrong. By being the youngest, like he looks like he could be like in his 40s, 50s when he turned. You know, like he had the most room to grow, and as a result, maybe is the one less hesitant to change. So maybe by design, he's like and I like. I just want to double. I'm pretty sure he's the one that had that scene in the Punk Records. If Joe, you're a good fact checker if you want to go back there. But like basically when Garling shows up, we cut to him and he's the nervous one. Like he's prominently the nervous one. So I feel like if anyone in the entire Celestial Dragon system could maybe turn against the system, it is this fella who I want to say he's Warcury, or is Warcury the one with the big mustache? I always forget. I want to say this is Top Man Warcury, but their names are...
Yeah.
I only remember Venus Juro because he's the bald guy, and Saturn. And then I get the other ones confused, but I digress. So yeah, that's Saturn. I think Tyler had a point he wanted to touch on.
I've been thinking about islands
Oh,
and what it means for, like, what does every island have that might have given a hint? So, like, Wano has the huge underground area.
yeah.
Alabasta, completely surrounded by sand and big desert.
Uh-huh.
Like, does that mean anything other than Oda just thought, oh yeah, it's an Egyptian-themed island, you know? It had lots of underground temples and ruins. And... okay, I'm talking about the real one, the canon one.
No.
The poneglyphs.
Yeah, but like, why? That was like the first one, wasn't it? And it was so long ago.
Yes, that was like the very first poneglyph, yeah. And to be
Yeah.
fair, that's a
it was.
country with history to an ancient weapon, so maybe that's that. There's Dressrosa's big palace. Skypia's in the fucking sky. Like,
Okay, which is crazy to think about. Okay, because think of the ocean now as like a midway point.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Skypiea used to be twice as high.
Oh,
did it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's a midway point, but it was relatively much higher than it is right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't think
Which
of that.
also, think about it. There's a bunch of fucking sky wizards, okay? And we just sent
Recently.
another group of scientists into the sky.
Oh, yeah, they
Because
contacted the
back-
Sky Wizards. Yeah.
They are fleeing the planet, okay?
Yeah.
Just like the sky wizards did.
Shit, man. What are these motherfuckers know some shit? They didn't tell Nami anything. Sky Wizards, literal. No, yeah, like, even if Oda didn't plan this all, think of Zoe. Zoe's just giant ass elephant that the Minks, who are a very historic race, they decided to go on the back of that elephant. Like, a pretty inconvenient place to live, but that's where they chose to live. Like, very away from society, but also very high up in the sky. And then there's the fucking moon, as far from the ocean as one could get. So it's like,
Y'all, I need some moon info.
oh, I need. We're so late
So
in the
wild.
story, dude. I'm like,
So the wildest cover story. It's like, why do this? What are you cooking with?
that
Can't wait for
motherfucker.
Space Pirates.
That motherfucker did that in chapter 300. Like, the gall of adding the moon and giving us nothing for decades.
I think that's the point where Odo's like, this is where I'm going to take the series. Like, definitely that Skypiea.
Thematically, Skypiea sets the blueprint for, Joy Boy shit, like a lot of One Piece. And then by Fishman
Yeah.
Island, I thought, like, the entire world lore was locked in.
Oh, no.
For sure.
You still have 200 more meters to go.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that the moon was part of the world at one point?
It's possible. They're able to terraform islands, so why couldn't they terraform a giant, like, thing in the moon? And maybe that's why it has, like, maybe why you can... I think you can breathe on the moon? I don't think Enel's up
Yeah.
there with, like, 100% lightning lungs all the time. I don't know if that works, so...
There was also rabbits pirates up
There
there,
are.
too.
But we don't know if those are robots or, like, Lunarians that can... Also, Lunarians exist, which is a weird name.
Lunarians exist, by the way.
Oh, God. Like...
And also,
It's all-
somehow devil fruits fit into this entire
And then there's like 4 species the world government wants extinct.
Yeah,
Lunarians,
interesting.
what's the other one
Buccaneers.
called?
The fucking
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers and a race we don't know. Maybe it's the Three-Eyeds. And they're already almost gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, Oh yeah, Pudding showed up like in this little
Yeah.
stretch.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh man, I can't. Oh my god, there's just so much. Like,
I'm telling you, like putting like Blackbeard shows up to Elbaf, Buggy shows up to Elbaf, and then Sanji's like, we have to do this. We have to get Pudding back, right? Like it just makes to it like, come on, we're wagering.
at this, but
tokens
like,
on the board
so
here.
I was always down. I've always been down for the Davy back fight.
Yeah.
But now the stakes are getting like scarily high. I thought it was just gonna be for the last poneglyph, but Joe's idea has like, this is actually like low key deciding who's gonna get the One Piece in this Davy
It's
back
gonna be
fight.
Pirate King. It's gonna be a game. That just makes the most sense, especially from a Joy Play
I just
perspective.
oh
Why
man,
fight
the
when
week
we
that's
can-
revealed, people are gonna be so annoying.
Very good enough.
I know people are.
Hate it.
I'm so
They're gonna
glad.
get-
I'm so glad I
Even
don't engage with much of the One Piece discussion. It's stressful. I don't know.
It's I don't know. By the way, since we're discussing it, can we talk about Shanks and his cold-hearted crew?
Holy shit! that was the
not
coldest shit. I love that. Shanks is so good, dude. Oh my god. Go ahead, Joe.
People-
Lead us
right?
off here.
Like, okay, so we get I guess a flashback or a flash sideways.
Yeah.
I don't remember like when this takes place on the timeline, but like
1 month earlier.
Watermellow?
This is 11/26. Yeah.
yeah, the not the recent one, but
Yeah.
but the one before it. But like Bart in the cover story burnt Shanks's flag and like raided one of his towns.
Insane.
And then we get pulled into this scene where like Bart's apologizing, and they're like, you know what, we'll make you all good. You just gotta take this poison to your boss Luffy and have him drink it, and then we'll all be square. And then Bart drinks it, and then he realizes it's fake, and they're like, "Oh, let's get out of here and let's run away." And then Yasop shoots his nuclear bomb pellet and blows up their ship, and apparently killing everybody.
I mean, no, I'm sure he like rigged a barrel like on the side of the ship, and as they're sailing away, he's just a really good shot. So,
True. Yeah. But
He,
the
he
point being
fucked
is that,
them
like,
up.
yeah, they're gone. Like, the only thing we potentially see is that Bart makes a barrier the last second to protect everybody. They're floating in the ocean.
Oh, they're alive. Don't worry. I mean,
Yeah, they're alive.
Yeah, no one dies in One Piece.
unless they do.
But-
So never, always stay
but-
on your toes.
Shanks
Yeah.
is the only person to overcome the barrier fruit.
Well, I mean, depending how big Bart's barrier is, the explosion could be inside. They're fine. The point
Yeah.
is, there's just so much here character-wise. Like, Shanks like looking all cold in like the second page here. Like he looks just really cool shaded in. He looks like a
But at the
boss.
same time, like later on the boat, you can tell how just genuinely happy he is that he's like, I like these people just care about Luffy so much.
Mhm.
Like he's genuinely happy about that, which is why when he's talking to Bardo, I interpret it as a feeling of like, I think he gets how close this dude is to Luffy. And it's not like he would take joy in punishing this guy. It's just like, you've put me in a shitty position.
It's
because, like,
business.
he's like, genuinely, what am I supposed to do? Like, if I don't do some shit to you, people are gonna come to this island and start bothering these innocent people because you burned down that flag and made me look like a bitch.
Yeah.
You do,
It's
do
just
not make
business.
Shanks look like a bitch. Like he's
Shanks-
it's so good.
Shanks played all of Yakuza. He understands.
Yeah,
Like-
cut off your pinky for me.
Yeah.
Go up to Luffy and cut off his pinky. No, I'll do it to my own, says Bart.
Yeah.
First of all, just great to see Bart. What a bro. But also, you fucked up, kid. And like, what's just really good is that Yasop's like, all right, boss, you know what I gotta do. Which is like Yasop content. We never get that shit. Like,
Yeah. It's
Now,
because we're
here's the
getting
big question.
Usopp content.
it
Yeah.
kind
How
of
does
convenient,
Shanks-
though.
How does Shanks feel about what Yasop did? Does he sanction this?
Oh,
or-
totally. I think Shanks. He's like, yeah, you're right. Like, if there was
Yeah.
there was more space in this page, or if Oda wanted to show it, he'd be like, yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Like, and like he feels bad about it, but he's gonna fuck him up. He did this to Kid, though Kid is a little asshole. Like, that's
Yeah.
what's charming about him.
So I think it's because and like Shanks did not act on anything until Kid was gonna threaten to hurt people around him.
Yeah.
But
True,
Ptolemaio
true.
never threatened to hurt anybody. They just burned his flag. That's it.
But it just goes to show that like that's still like it hurt my image, hurt my people. Both of them gotta go because it's the only way I can protect my people. So.
Yeah.
Can you believe, and this is a big deal for me, you know, classic 17 years reading One Piece or whatever we're at, 18. I'm gonna, like, there's an adult's version of, like, One Piece time length that I've been reading it.
Yeah.
I'm at the point of One Piece where, like, the character of Shanks shows up, and I understand what he's about, and he does things, and, like, we get moments, and I'm like, because, like, just think your whole life, you grow up, like, you literally grow up not knowing what the fuck Shanks is, aside from, like, this mysterious, far-off goal, and then you reach the point of adulthood where you're like, I get to understand Shanks now. Like, this is a really cool deal for me, and, like, he's better than I could ever imagine, because, like, when you get to this first page, right, with Bart kneeling down, or, like, the first 2 pages or whatever of this, in my mind, I want to take a poll here for you, what y'all thought. I'm like, oh, he's letting him go. Like Shanks is a good guy. Like he may be like, he might be an antagonist in a roundabout way, but I don't believe Shanks is evil, right?
No,
and then I turn the page and he just caps that motherfucker, and I'm like, yo, like this many years, Shanks is still like surprising me, but like it makes total sense. It's just cool that the last 2 times we've seen him, he's like destroying rookies. He's setting off. He's gonna get the One Piece, and he's taking names, and like he's living up to my expectations, which is just more than I could ever hope for. So I'm very happy with this kind of stuff.
So he comes to this island and then he goes directly to Elbaf, or like he goes to Elbaf, and then Kid attacks.
What's going on?
That's interesting. I'm just thinking about the timeline, because
Oh
like,
yeah,
what's
this is
the
a month
likelihood-
ago, and Kid was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So what is the likelihood that Bart and them are on ships and he's just like, y'all don't have any ship anymore? I guess you'll have to join my crew, and then they're on Elbaf.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean,
Because all of the crew that was with Shanks, like he mentions, like none of y'all can protect yourselves. I have to protect you, kind of a thing.
he's like, I gotta wipe your name off the table, but then like after that, I think it's fair if you join me. And you know, like Kid was decimated because Kid was about to kill a bunch of innocent people with like his big railgun. So he tried to kill Kid. Probably didn't do it, but like he went for the kill blow, and then he said Boggy Dory massacre them, right? So it said Kid annihilated. But for them it says status unknown. So I think that supports Joe.
Also, I was watching somebody like comparing Kid and Law to Luffy and why Luffy is better than them. It is genuinely because Kid and Law lacked worthy opponents. Like,
Generally, yeah.
Kid got his bounty from genuinely being a pirate and harassing a lot of people.
He grinded boards in the jungle, basically.
Yeah, and like Luffy's out here taking out fucking warlords and shit, fighting the world government, and meanwhile, Law is busy carrying an entire crew with his overpowered devil fruit.
Yeah.
Those fucking hacks! Fuck you, Beppo.
So, because his devil fruit is so insane, we only see him unlock a little bit of crazy hockey right at the end of Wano. Meanwhile, Luffy's in the gym with the sensei training it, and it's like that's why Luffy's the last one standing. Like they reasonably got defeated because they were not strong.
Like in the papers, they put them together, but we who have been following the story know that like Luffy's built different than these other two.
He is built different.
And as for Law, also his goal was never to reach the top. He wanted to take out Doflamingo. While Kid and Luffy have always wanted to go for the top, but like you said, Kid did it by being a little scumbag asshole. And Luffy did it with his adventurous spirit, which is more wholesome and as a result stronger in our shonen manga. So it is cool to compare them, and now they're both shipless. Join the Grand Fleet, motherfuckers. See you in Elbaf, I guess.
Yeah.
Davey backfired, huh?
Yeah,
I mean it's perfect because then Yasop and
they're
Usopp
not
have like a.
It's not gonna be a Davey. It's not gonna be a Davey back fight.
But like. It'd be so cool to like. I wanted to see it come back because that's the most Oda thing. You know that arc that was complete like in-story filler. Some say it was actually very important to set up a big storyline later. I just can't see it being like the thing that decides like basically the front runner for the One Piece.
I think it's going to be the final thing in the series is Shanks, the Red Hair Pirates versus the Straw Hats. I think it will be like when Roger and Edward Newgate clashed against each other, where they all fight for like 3 days, nobody really dies, and then they all party at the end.
Oh, for sure. So you think that's the last thing? Because I think Emu has to be the last thing.
No, I think
second to last. Maybe?
Straw Hats and Shanks come after Emu.
Damn. Okay. I mean, because the thing is, Luffy has to give the hat back, or like that's the promise, right? So it's kind of be weird if Luffy goes an entire final arc without his trademark straw hat. So that's always been like a. I mean, Shanks is probably gonna get killed by Blackbeard before that happens. Is my guess.
I always thought like the original thought for me was that like Shanks is best like keeping the peace more or less, and I'd rather know who my enemy is than have someone that I don't know who it is. If that makes sense in terms of like the world government. Because it's like I know how they operate. I'd rather they just stay there because I can protect the people I can protect, rather than like have someone new come along and then shake everything up.
But he's gonna have to fight Luffy, right? Like I feel like there or some conflict. Yeah.
It's an eating competition. They eat and drink. But like I think the idea of this like 4-person race is like what we're coming to because they all announced they're going after it,
including Kobe's like I'm gonna have to kill that motherfucker. I love that, by the way. I'm very excited for Kobe's future.
Yeah. So like there has to be a clash.
Yeah.
That comes out to who's on top, and then the only logical break I have is how do we go from Luffy getting One Piece to fighting Emu, right? What is the motivation going to be for Luffy to go do that?
So
Right.
remember, and this is actually pretty clever by Oda. Luffy has a dream after the One
Yeah.
Piece, which is like, can I just say how well that decision has aged? Like that's just like a brilliant little thing to add on, like around the halfway point. And this dream can't be done if Emu does whatever he's gonna do. So even if Emu comes after the One Piece, I think that can pretty easily work. That'd be my guess. On the topic of like, so I think Shanks is like a penultimate or like even like this arc threat.
Yeah.
And then like we'll see what happens to him after. I will point out Full Lead Island, where Blackbeard's crew stays,
Yeah.
is the island that did make the Davy back fight. So it's like, are we gonna have to go there to get Pudding and Garp, and we're gonna do a Davy back for them? So which means Shanks wouldn't be involved at that point.
Yeah.
So, what between them two, there's got to be one Davy back fight in there. I would love that, but I can't see like everyone being part of it. But Boogie's
That'd be
crew
so
would be
fun.
Boogie's crew would be perfect
be
for a Davy back
So
fight.
fucking funny.
Also, Moria's on the loose. Cross Guild baby, come in here.
Yeah. Because like Buggy would set all the tents up, and he would sell tickets.
Oh yeah, he would make
Yeah.
such a. Oh man, it's gotta be Buggy. It'd be so fucking funny. And like,
It'd be so.
just imagine like the second to last round of the Davy bag fight is the once in a lifetime one-on-one Pirate Hunter Zoro versus Marine Hunter Mihawk, and we would all lose our fucking minds. Like
Yeah, that would be the climax fight of that arc, because then Luffy walks up the buggy, just punches him in the face.
yeah. Like they set it up as the second to last event, but it's actually the main event because Buggy folds to
Yeah.
Luffy.
100%.
That's
I also want
perfect.
Sanji and Crocodile to fight.
Yeah, fuck
because-
it, Mr. Prince. Fuck you, kid.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't know who Sanji is at all. He never met him.
At some point, like Sanji puts on glass and he's like, "Wait, I've heard of you."
Wait a minute.
One Piece. So many potential
It's,
futures.
we have a lot of like converging
paths.
into these.
It's
now.
so exciting. We like.
It's very.
These
exciting.
are like things that like are very likely to happen at this point, but like in what order and like with what twists. It's very.
Yeah, because it's like, so Blackbeard's back on Full Lead, right?
Yeah.
Buggy and crew are, and the thing is, Buggy knows where to go at this point. Like he knows it's like we have to get to Shanks. I know where he is. I know where we need to go because he knows all the steps leading up to the One Piece.
Yeah, but
Right.
I don't know if he knows like what to like. What the road poneglyphs say, or like, yeah.
He doesn't care. He just knows he needs to go get them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if anything,
Oh, so easy to
And that's
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go take them from Shanks and two
he
from
knows,
Luffy.
he
It's
knows
so
Shanks
simple.
will have them,
Yeah.
and he could probably schmooze Shanks. Because don't forget, Shanks is like, I'm only gonna go to get the One Piece. His Buggy's with me.
I'm gonna guess Shanks does not have like big moms. So like he's probably missing one that
Yeah,
the Straw Hats have.
That's the other thing is that they have to fly over the poneglyph bits.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be like one of those things where like we're gonna have to work this out somehow.
Yeah. Can't wait. And man,
Yeah.
okay, let's move course a little bit. What do y'all think of Vegapunk surviving? I'm sure people were upset about it because no one dies in One Piece, but I'm like, they have backup like Punk records. We know their artificial
Yeah.
lives. Like to
That's the
me,
thing,
I
that-
was
the
shocked that they
actual
were
lore.
dead. Yeah.
The way in
Mhm.
which they survived makes perfect sense, and I like.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
it's cool that like Lilith is now cut off from that, so she gets to go be her
Mhm.
individual, while they go on. So I don't know anyone like particularly upset with that decision or like how that played out. I think it's fine.
I don't think so.
I think that also something that we saw is that the Giants. So Vegapunk was researching the Void Century,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the Giants have all of
The
the
books.
information that O'Hara had.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Do you think Lilith is just gonna stay on Elbaf?
Oh, that's another really good reason for Lilith to stay. Yeah. So she can work on Kuma
I think
and
it's
like
even
finish the research.
because
Yeah.
Kuma and Bonnie learn more about Joy Boy at that point because they have all the books.
Oh
like-
shit! This is
And
definitely the
Joy
arc.
Boy, Joy Boy was a giant, and the Buccaneers are offshoots of the Giants, so they're just gonna stay there.
I don't think we know if Joy Boy was a giant. He looked like a normal sized person in that.
Okay. Do you think Big Mom was a Buccaneer?
Probably not because she said she's missing 3 races, and it's implied to be like one was Lunarian because she says it to King, and one's giant.
Yeah, and one's Buccaneers.
I would assume the last one's Buccaneer.
Now, she may not know she is one. To
True.
be fair.
Yeah, true. But her parents are normal sized. Because I think we saw them leave Lin Lin at Elbaf. So.
True. Yeah.
God, we're in fucking Elbaf. Like, let's not get too much into that. I'm just gonna say it's crazy we're in there. Also Legos for some reason. Whatever. That's stuff for the future.
Look, he's a baby. He's like probably like a fucking shut-in 18-year-old otaku guy.
I'm gonna throw in. So, like, as we were going through it, right, I'm like, I don't know if Oda understands, like, the implications of the character Vegapunk is. So, like, early on, I was like, oh, I'm not sure how, like, if Oda's nailing it. I want to say that by the end of the story, and this is why you should always, like, judge the final product, I think, of the One Piece arc. I think, like, Vegapunk is not anything of what I expected, but I think he's, like, even more interesting. Because, like, the way I put it is, like, Oda is not always the most nuanced writer. Like, he'll say the quiet part about characters out loud. He's a very bombastic writer. So I don't really give credit when he is more subtextual. And he's, like, in the post-time skip especially, I think he's, like, a lot more subtextual than he was before. So, like, when he's doing these things, like, when he's writing Vegapunk that way, I'm like, oh, are you trying to, like, excuse Vegapunk or make it seem like he hasn't done, like, a lot of bad things? But, like, the end product is, like, yes, this person was very ignorant about his decisions in the past. He's a big dreamer when it comes to science, but, like, I'm going to highlight also the positive aspects of this person. He is not just, like, a scumbag scientist, and he's not just, like, a good person. I'm going to show the results of his actions, but then show his Oppenheimer-esque, like, regrets. And particularly, like, that chapter when him and the other two satellites are preparing for his death, like, personally, I found that, like, such a beautiful way to, like, kind of encapsulate the complexity of this man and, like, these traits that are, like, actually really admirable, but then also these traits that are, like, more complex, where it's like, yeah, I'll just make these human weapons, fuck it. So it's like, I'm at the end of it, I'll just say that, like, I've come to really love Vegapunk, and I think he's, like, a really well-done character, but one that was, like, initially tough for me to, like, wrestle with. So, like, I want to make this, like, the what do y'all think of Vegapunk now that he's all said and done corner.
I enjoyed it. I never knew what the fuck this character was gonna be.
Definitely not this.
From the first time I heard Vegapunk back in, like, Alabasta, I don't know, I was picturing, like, not this little Albert Einstein Apple dude. I was picturing, like, big badass, like, electricity all around it. Like, I don't know what I was picturing, but it wasn't that. But no, I like where they ended up.
Y'all want to know something about Vegapunk and this arc entirely? I like how much Oda put Frankie in this arc, but gave him nothing.
Look, man. Yeah.
But there would be more Frankie in Vegapunk.
Oda hates Frankie.
Like, so much. Like, he does hate Frankie. He said, why do you hate Frankie like that?
He said you're gonna get some peak stuff in Dressrosa and, like, one cute little moment in Wano, and then I'll see you at the end of the story, fucker. And then he threw Frankie in a garbage bin. It sucks. It's unfortunate. But anyways, Vegapunk. Yeah, what do y'all think? Like, do y'all think that, like, he was, like, his motivations or, like, his portrayal were, like, as complicated or, like, weird to get into at first as I did, or, like, did you just roll with it, or what?
I kind of just rolled with it, and I just needed to see where it went at the end there. I think the execution of him making the plan and then erasing his memories was both clever and also a bit, I don't want to say ham-fisted, but kind of like, all right, okay, whatever, as a workaround, right? Because it's like amnesia. That's my answer to Vegapunk not knowing.
It's not amnesia. It's brain erase. They got Men in Black.
Yeah, and I like that because it's like, well, if we stop syncing to Punk records or start putting in dummy data like York did, we're gonna be screwed. So, like, I respect that it's like, hey, we're gonna plan to die and then we're gonna face death without knowing what the plans are. I think that's, like, the most One Piece-y way to write a scientist character you could ever do. Like, I think that fits right into the energy of the series. So I really enjoy that personally.
With that being said, like, I think overall, like, I do want to think, I think that bit there also made me like, okay, Vegapunk at the end of his life did know what was happening and kind of understood that, like, the mistakes that he made.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy that there was a point where it was like, no, he's aware that, like, his research has affected a lot of people, good and bad,
Yeah.
right?
But and what made it like a complex thing to deal with is like Vegapunk never has the moment of like, you know how Judge,
Yeah.
when he's tied down and he's crying like a little bitch that his children that he took the emotions away are gonna die and they can't even like feel proper
They
fear
la-
for it.
They're laughing at him. They're like, this guy's like, he fears death.
Look
What
at
a
this!
bitch.
Look at this bitch dad we have. Like
Yeah.
I would like there was no big moment where like the camera points at Vegapunk and goes like, "Look at this stupid asshole." It's like it's always moments where it's like, "Oh, feel bad for Vegapunk, but also look at what he did," and feel like it's always like a little more nuanced and a little more mixed. Not that like the Judge scene's fantastic because it was doing it that way, but the way that he did it with Vegapunk, it's like less easy to be like, "Are we supposed to like dislike this guy's actions or like them?" Like, but by the end, like it's very clear that the answer is like yes and no. Like, come to your own conclusions about this guy.
It comes back to that theme of like, with Frankie and Robin and like the Battleship Frankies and stuff. It's like knowledge is a tool, and then you can't necessarily be a bad person for like trying to learn about the world.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's coming to realization of what your actions could do.
Man, and it's like it fits perfectly with that. Like Oda has never lost that theme, and then he just kind of casually doesn't have a scene with Vegapunk talking or with Frankie talking about it, which is a little frustrating. That would be it. Yeah, we like as this is an arc follow up. I really love this arc. We can go around like top one favorite, like anything that you didn't like. My only like dislike with this arc is I wish we got more of York, but that's like a minor dislike because I think we'll still get a lot of York in the future. So that's not a major one.
Battle for sure,
For
because
sure.
she's gonna be the one that's operating the. So also we got confirmed that the Mother Flame isn't the name of the device; it's the thing that powers the device.
Yes.
That's also
I think we knew
which
that a
is
while
probably
ago.
Uranus.
But my negative is the Frankie thing, like we mentioned. But yeah,
Yeah.
we can go around, throw in anything else because those are the major topics. We could talk about Emmett and Joy Boy a little bit, but like lots of cool stuff there. Don't know what to make of it. Looks like Joy Boy has a peg leg. That's all I have for you.
Apparently,
Yeah.
also, you can tie knots and put hockey in them. That's also a thing, apparently.
Yeah.
But
I
the
guess
Wizards
so.
did
You
that with
learn
wind,
new-
so
Yeah. Wait, that's kind of cool though. That like not base technology exists somewhere. It is a thing.
yeah,
Do you think that's like been the one thing that's been missing? Because like,
knots.
yeah, knots. Nobody on these boats is out here tying knots except for Polly.
Except for Polly, he's gonna
Polly
learn.
and he told us that there is power in knot tying, and everybody goes, yeah,
Bro.
whatever.
Final War Polly showing up with like, I came prepared, and like every ally who couldn't make it to the war put their hockey in Polly's knots, and he's going crazy. Just wait for it, okay? Anyways, yeah, round table like favorites. I asked for like a favorite. It would have to be Kizaru content, Kuma content, and like just the complexity that is Vegapunk. But you can take it from here, and we can close out here in a little bit.
I mean, I liked getting the Vegapunk message, just learning more about the world. Like
Big lore.
the fact that the world is because I think he had ended a chapter by saying like, "What I'm about to tell you is so preposterous you might laugh, but I'm dead. I'm dead
Yeah.
serious."
I'm dead
And
out.
then we got the real reveal that the world is sinking, and I just had no idea what to think of it. So
I like
I don't know,
how
I think that was also just a really. Go ahead.
I was gonna
Go Bradley.
yeah, go Bradley. Finish.
I was just saying that was a good time for like a rarely good time for theorizing within the One Piece. They weren't actually dumb theories. There are actually a lot of good ones.
Look, okay, there's a lot of good theories all the time, but you know, it's a lot of people talking, so sometimes
The
you're gonna see
sun-
the not great ones.
Isn't real. Yeah.
That was you, Joe. That was your theory.
No, I'm saying it was dumb.
And don't forget, the fishmen are the actual denizens of the earth. Anyways, Bradley, do you have a negative or something else?
think The only thing that I kind of wish we saw more is going into this arc. I thought there were I think more than one moments we were kind of hitting on the beat of like free will and like how controllable are Seraphim and Zoan fruits. Do they impose their own will on you? And I kind of thought there was going to be more exploration of that. I don't know if there still will be in the future with the Seraphim.
I think for sure, right? Because the point with the Seraphim is they're this strong and they're just kids. So by the time we get to the final war and like they're the main troops, I think that's when we can like Oda likes to do some of these themes where he's like, I'm gonna stretch this one out over like 4 arcs. So I feel like this was a key point, and we'll touch back on this. But if we don't get anything, then I'm with you where it's like, oh, we could have taken that further.
I feel like there was a line either as we were going into Egghead or something like that. I don't know if it was Vegapunk talking about having trouble like truly overriding free will, and I'm like, that just feels so in line with the themes of freedom in this story that it's got to be a thing.
And it's also like I feel like it also it's interesting though because that also applies to himself. He made it specific that he split out aspects of himself. But then those aspects of himself grew into their own people to the point where, like, they betrayed him. Sidebar, I'm like, I bet it's Lilith. She's the evil one. Like, and he's like, I'm sorry, Lilith. It wasn't you. It was the greedy one. But, like, it just goes to show that, like, even a part of Vegapunk's free will can be evil. And, like, he can't control that aspect of himself. So splitting that up for productivity was his undoing. So, like, there's probably more in this theme to dig in than we have thought of, and maybe that's something that, like, we'll think about now that the arc's done, and maybe over, like, rereads or, like, just thinking about it over time. Maybe we can mine some more out of this topic. But, yeah, that's a good point, especially the Zoan Fruit stuff, but I think I think we're going to touch on the Zoan Fruit in Elbaf when they really, like, because Luffy still doesn't know what the fuck a Joy Boy is, but he's going to know soon, right? And I think the question's going to start to come where it's like, Luffy, you're kind of cracked out when you're in that fruit. Like, is that really still you? So we might come to question that. But yeah.
I think for me, there's so much. One thing we didn't discuss was like Lucci and gang, and Lucci apparently killed Stussy. That's a hard cap. A lie. That girl is somewhere else.
That's so cool that he's willing to lie. Ooh.
I mean, last time he didn't lie.
Yeah.
Spandam threw them under the bus.
Well, last time he didn't lie. Also, like he told the elder that it's like, dude, my giraffe guy is over there. Please don't kill him. And he's like, yeah, we'll see, punk. And then he just flew away. Lucci's like, fuck. So
that guy had the fear of God in his eyes when he saw that. He's like, oh, I have really messed up.
I think no one would have expected, like, I mean, like, One Piece has, like, an A through F plot in all their arcs now. No one would have expected the F plot to be Lucci character growth, but we got a little bit of that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But go on.
I really like that. I think that, and I think the Kuma stuff as well, it's just, like, the themes of it, and, like, really kind of almost coming, like, the most recent flashback in this series.
But wait, Bradley, also with the free theme, though, Kuma, as much as they could erase Kuma's entire identity, you cannot erase what was in his heart. See, there's stuff there if we, like, stop and think about it. But anyways, go on, Joe.
And I think those things are, like, why I like the most. The thing I like the least? I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
If nothing big sticks out, then, like,
I have no like strong negatives. The only thing would be like I wish Frankie got a moment, like I'll mentioned before, but like nothing like. But like I enjoyed the ride. I was excited every time a chapter came out. And nothing felt dragged on.
Yeah,
it was great.
Well-paced arc. We just have to wait for the Klabauterman for the Sunny pop up, and then we'll finally get a Frankie moment in like 200 chapters from now.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's Usopp season. Forget that guy. Tyler.
Yeah.
Favorites and least favorite elements of Egghead?
I did like the announcement going like over the everything and like we get to see all parts of the world again. Like I'm really excited for that to get animated.
Bro, we saw everyone. Did y'all see that Don Krieg and Gin were in there?
They're at Pirate Full Island.
They're like, it's not they're just in the side of a panel, but fucking Don Krieg and Gin, like what? Like that was crazy.
They showed up and like we're gonna get revenge on you, and they immediately get like owned by like Zoro and Sanji.
I want Sanji to one shot again. It'd be fucking peak.
It'd be so funny.
Okay, so we got that. Tyler, anything else?
I don't like how Oda just magically invented TVs.
They've been there since Sembodi, bro.
No, everybody across the world now has a TV.
Bro, they've been there since Sembodi. Everyone watched the Paramount War.
Yeah.
On their that's how Boogie became popular. He did the streamer thing like,
Okay.
is this thing on? You just forgot.
Presentation. He flew when they were going over new bounties.
Yeah. Try again. This isn't Naruto where you're in the hidden leaf village and then you turn the corner and there's cars. That was
And there's a Game Boy.
that shit's so funny.
I don't know. I don't know if I had a least favorite. It was just like an all right arc for me. I wish they didn't give Frankie a power up, and they didn't power him up really like ever at all. So like that's a little disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, for me it's more like give him a character moment. But yeah, no cool new lasers. Yeah, I remember like earlier in the arc, like you weren't. And it's probably because like you just don't like the manga as much, but you're like, yeah, the emotional beats are cool. They're fine.
Here's like the bare minimum thing I would have done with Frankie and been satisfied is like maybe during their big scramble for escape, maybe something with the tech isn't working and even the Vegapunks are freaking out. And Frankie, having seen other Vegapunk tech in the past and studied it, is like, move aside, I can actually help with this. And he helps, and the Vegapunks are like, that's badass, how'd you learn how to do that? And like, I would have been like, oh, what a cool moment.
That would have been awesome. Even like a discussion with Vegapunk where it's like, where Vegapunk maybe has a moment, it's like, why did I create these like pacifistas this way? And Frankie has to remind him, like, you know, like, don't think about that now. Like, focus on, like, just think about how we can fix this kind of, because that would be how Frankie would react to that kind of situation. But yeah, no, I mean, he gets like the one cool moment where he gets to save Sanji a little bit and like Luffy, but it's like that's not like this is the science arc. Like give Frankie like a big like character moment. Anyways, that's the main thing. Maybe like if Usopp is like a Robin and Usopp arc, then like Frankie can be character 3. But I think it's more likely that Luffy, like with Joy Boy stuff, fucking I don't know, Vivi might show up now. Who knows?
Is this the Adam tree here?
In what?
An Elbaf.
No, that's Yggdrasil. That's the,
Oh, you're
that's
right. You're
the
so
world
right.
tree.
Yeah.
Well, I think Yggdrasil might be what they call what foreigners call the Adam tree, because the so the Adam tree is the tree with the hardest wood, and I'm pretty sure it was stated to be in Elbaf, or is it no? I think Marijoa has the Eve tree.
I think in Frankie's conversation, it's just in a war-torn country is what it's described to be in, which is why the wood is so strong. Is because it survived so many wars.
That is what he says. I mean, maybe Elbaf has like internal wars all the time.
Yeah.
The Vikings. And
also, the lion turns into a cat, so maybe Loki's fruit is that he brings out your potential.
It's either Loki stuff or it's the booze. It did mention that they drank some hard absinthe, so they're like, "What? These Legos aren't real."
Y'all just don't want to admit that One Piece has an isekai arc now.
You want anything to be an isekai arc?
This guy, I know. Technically, they're all isekai arcs because they're in a new land every time.
That's not how that works. Okay. Well, I have to be hitting the road here, so if y'all have any other closing remarks, any hopes for the future? I think we all want Usopp content. I want Big Mom to come back. I know that's a hot
She's
take.
coming up in the cover story. She's in like 2 or 3 more chapters, and she'll show up in the cover story.
Yeah, Yamato's gonna run into her, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crawls back out of the hole.
Yeah.